parents. This is Lucky Mommy, single mom of 3 teenagers, and welcome to my chaos. When the Lucky kids were small, I spent years as a disaster planner. So building and testing crisis plans for a large global corporation meant that I spent a lot of nights at work. Combine that with being a single mom, and I had to be really intentional about creating quality time with my children and be really thoughtful about that creativity when we spent the time together. To say that I was exhausted all the time would be an understatement, but it was really important for me to get this right. So early on, a pediatrician friend of mine introduced the idea of the staycation. And so when he was a poor med student, he and his wife would take the kids to a local hotel for 2 or 3 days. It was an adult vacation from cooking and cleaning, and the kids got takeout and a swimming pool. So it's all the advantages of travel without the actual travel part. And then later, one of my colleagues told me that he always makes reservations for Thanksgiving dinner, and a plan was born. So our Thanksgiving tradition for years was that we would check into a hotel on Thursday afternoon and get dressed up in our fancy clothes, and then we'd go downstairs and have a fancy restaurant dinner. And this way, everybody would get food that they would actually eat and we wouldn't waste it all. And then we might go up the hill to the movie theater to see a show, get up the next morning after staying up all night long and go swimming, and then maybe we'd see 2 or 3 more movies. Sometimes we'd stay another night at the hotel and swim again the next day. Sometimes it would just be a 24-hour adventure. But it was our tradition for Thanksgiving, and it was simple and it was fun, and it didn't require a whole lot of effort on my part. I also think I was really good at taking the 3 of them out for dinners, especially during the summer. So they went to the Boys and Girls Club every day for camp. And at the end of the day, they would come downtown and meet me at my office. We would walk the Greenway in downtown Boston, and sometimes we'd play in the fountains, ride the carousel. We might walk over to the aquarium and look at the seals that swim right in front of the building. And we always had fun seeing the clowns and the balloon artists and the other performers at the Quincy Market area. Sometimes we had ice cream at the beginning of our walk, and we always had dinner at the end of our walk. So the days where we had dessert first were like the biggest treat. Before they were old enough to meet me at work, I would go and pick them up from the Boys and Girls Club, and we would go to a restaurant for dinner. And usually it was just something quick and inexpensive, but sometimes we would go to a fancy sit-down restaurant like the 99. And I have all these pictures of them like making silly faces and playing together at the table. And I remember, all these fun conversations where we would talk about our days, and they would share the field trips and all the different experiences that they had. And we got to just sit and relax and talk to each other, and nobody was being pulled in any other directions, right? Like that we were in that moment. And I loved it. And I'm hoping that when the kids look back on that time, they're going to remember sharing stories and laughing together. At some point, I was captured by the idea of like one-on-one dinner dates with the kids. And I remember thinking, like, this is something that I really want to be able to do. And I'm going to schedule dinner with each kid once a month, and we'll go out and we're going to have this like person-to-person connection. I never did it. I was not able to make that consistently happen in our lives. And we've had a lot of really amazing one-on-one experiences, but that idea specifically of the dinner dates was something that was really cool, and I just never really got it together to make it work. At dinner last night, I asked kid 1 to grab this book of poetry that we used to read when the kids were small. And I used to just have them pick out a poem and read it each night. And as they got older, we moved on and we did different things. And now every once in a while, I'll take the book out, or I'll have one of them to take the book out and just ask someone to read one of them. So last night he found a poem that we had never read together. And then baby girl took the book and she also found a poem that we had never read. And that became the experience for the night, right? Was finding these new stories within this book that had just been trod so well throughout their childhood. So this particular book will always be meaningful to me, and I think the Lucky Kids as well, because it, it's something that we shared throughout their childhood. And it didn't take any effort, right? It was a book with enough stories in it or enough poems in it that we could keep going back. And they have their favorites that they read over and over again. I have my favorites that I like to read. And every once in a while, a new poem can be introduced into our world. But it's just a book, right? And so it doesn't cost anything to be able to create that kind of a ritual. I did have an idea that I'm pretty sure I stole from somewhere. When each kid turned 10, we did a one-on-one trip together. And their original ideas were like, can I go to Paris? Can I go to Sydney? Can I go to Tokyo? And, no, no, and no, right? And so the idea was someplace localish that was sort of easy to get to, where we could have, a fun kid adventure. So kid one chose going to New York to see a Broadway play, and he wanted to stay in a fancy hotel and see the Statue of Liberty. While we were there, there was a 1920s jazz brunch on an island that we got an invitation to. And so we went to a vintage store, and I got a Newsies costume and he got a sailor outfit. And we spent the afternoon listening to jazz on an island, dressed up in our 1920s getup. And it was amazing. Kid two at that time, as he turned 10, was a budding Lego master. And so his choice for our one-on-one trip was to go to Legoland. Now, I am not a fan of theme parks. I don't like being in big crowds. Those spaces make me really uncomfortable. But this was something that he really wanted to do, and I was excited to be able to have this experience with him. So we spent a couple of days at Legoland, and we stayed in the Lego Hotel, which is its own experience. I definitely recommend it. I think Legoland is great for kids about 10 and under, maybe 11 and under. And it was a really fun experience to stay in the hotel. And the pictures that I have and the memories that I have and the experiences that we had together and the joy on his face, like I can still see it today. I can see him sitting at the table holding the Lego newspaper and reading the newspaper over brunch, and how funny he looked, this little man, reading his newspaper. And I wouldn't trade those memories for the world, right? Here we were in a space that was truly built for him, and he absolutely reveled in it. In April of 23, I left my company, and I now have all this time that I can spend with the kids. And, kid one said, it's weird. You're always here. You're home every day when we come home. And I'm just like, well, that's what being unemployed looks like. And so he was surprised at how much more he saw me, even more so than I think, during the pandemic, because that was, of course, expected. And I'm loving, greeting them every day when they come home, seeing their friends as they come in and out of the house, and meeting some of the kids that I haven't met before. And my daughter and I are doing a nutrition program together. So we've started going grocery shopping together. We're sort of solidifying this new cadence of getting to know each other in this stage of our lives. So this summer is my first summer vacation since, I don't know, high school maybe. And I'm so excited to have this time to be able to do all kinds of things with my kids. And so for those of you who are with your kids full time, you know how much of a gift this is. And, I'm excited to be able to experience what you get to experience all the time, even if it is for a short period before I move on to whatever my next job is going to be. So my intention this summer is to spend as much time with my kids as possible. Kid one's going off to college in the fall, and baby girl is going to high school in the fall. And so we're at a major transitional point. So we're going to do some traveling together. Baby girl and I are going to a music festival because there's a K-pop band that she's really excited to see. Kid two and I are going to New York to see Josh Groban and Sweeney Todd, which I'm super excited about. And kid one is taking me to a nerd con. And I'm really excited to do that as well. I am so excited about these experiences. And part of it is I know that we're cementing lifetime memories. And I I guess my point today is I'm thinking a lot about time spent together. As one child prepares to leave the house to be an adult and trying to be intentional about maximizing the time before he goes. There's this country song by Trace Adkins called You're Gonna Miss This. And the song sort of captures a few moments in like young parenting life that we find ourselves sort of rushing through. And he reminds us in the chorus that, you're going to miss this. We're going to wish these days hadn't gone by so fast. And as the kids grow older, I have to skip the song when it goes on, right? Like even thinking about it makes me tear up. And I remember those moments that I rushed through, and I have this nostalgia for an earlier time. So I know that a lot of my focus when I talk about parenting is about, pushing our little birds out of the nest. And I wanted to take some time to kind of think about the relationships that we're cultivating and the time that we're spending together. Create traditions that are easily repeatable for you. See what brings your children the most joy and try to cultivate experiences that maximize those moments. As parents, I think we get so busy and there's so many things that we have to juggle, keeping them alive, keeping them fed, getting them to all the places that they need to go. And it's really important for us to be intentional about creating bonding memories with your little ones while they're small, and then carrying those on as they get bigger. When I recommend that you create rituals and do things that will take root in the children's memories, it doesn't mean that you have to do something expensive. If travel's not an option, you don't have to get on a plane to create an amazing memory. Be aware of the little things that you can do, that you can repeat, and that will create really incredible memories for you all the way through your children's childhood and well into adulthood. I'm feeling sappy these days, y'all. A lot of final experiences, concerts and shows. This may be the last time we do this. It's kind of running on repeat in my mind. After 7 years, we're leaving the middle school that has been such an incredible part of their lives. And this is where they all began to cultivate their voices as singers, actors, and artists. My oldest is leaving the country to go to college. I just left my job after 13 years and I'm looking to move to another company. So I'm in this season of change and I'm feeling incredibly nostalgic. So create the moments that you'll look back on fondly. Solidify them and secure them into your memory and your children's memories with repetition. That's what I have today. Share your traditions in the comments. I'd love to read about them. Comment with your questions, your feedback, and new topics. Like, subscribe, share, and follow me on Insta at Lucky Mommy. And thanks for joining me on this quest to raise a thriving future generation. I'll see you soon.